If you shoot with APS-C or micro four thirds cameras, there are many different fisheye lenses that is available for you. So in this video, I have gathered 3 different fisheye lenses. They are all very affordable. The price is between $129 to $149 US, and they are also very similar in a lot of ways. So which one is the best fisheye lens for you? I've done a lot of testing, so in this video, let me share with you my results. Kia ora, good morning everyone, Vignetting here, welcome back to the channel. Recently I have done a comparison review which I have compared 3 different 33 and 35mm f/0.95 APS-C lenses from Laowa, Zhongyi and also 7Artisans. Today we have another comparison review, and this time we have 3 fisheye lenses from TTArtisan, 7Artisans and also Pergear. Just a quick disclaimer before we start. The sample that I have here, I use for this review, are provided by TTArtisan and also Pergear. But this is not a sponsored review. If after watching this video you're interested in buying any of these lenses, you can support me by using one of the affiliated link that I put below, or even just click on one of the link and check out more information about any of these lenses. All these 3 lenses are manual focus mechanical fisheye lenses with 7.5mm focal length. So no autofocus and there's no electronic support. But it is not really a problem because fisheye lenses has a really deep depth of field, so it is very easy to do manual focus yourself anyway. They are all diagonal fisheye lenses designed for APS-C mirrorless cameras, and they are available for most of the APS-C mirrorless camera mounts in the market. All these 3 lenses are also available for micro four thirds cameras, but the field of view would not be quite as wide because of the extra crop factor. One interesting thing about the TTArtisan fisheye lens is, if you use it on a full frame camera, you just need to attach the lens cap but with the centerpiece removed, then you can get some circular fisheye photo like this one. This is a very interesting design. All these 3 lenses have very solid metal construction. They may not have the most premium build quality. For example, all the letters are just printed on the lens instead of engraved. But for the price, that is just a little bit over $100, the build quality is really not bad at all. Putting these 3 fisheye lenses side by side, you can see the TTArtisan lens is quite a bit bigger than the other 2 lenses, mostly because it is a f2 lens while the other 2 are f2.8 lenses. The Pergear fisheye lens is marginally smaller than the 7Artisan fisheye lens. The weight of the TTArtisan fisheye lens is also a little bit more than the other 2 fisheye lenses, but in real life, once you mounted it on your camera, the difference is not really that noticeable. All these 3 lenses have an integrated non-removable lens hood, and because of the large extruded front element and also the super wide field of view, you cannot install any front filter to any of these 3 lenses. But with the TTArtisan lens, you can install a rear filter, and the lens also comes with a ND1000 filter. So if you use the ND1000 rear filter, that will allow you to do long exposure photo, especially during the day. Just remember, if you use the rear filter, you do have to readjust the focus because installing the rear filter would change the focus distance quite a bit. All these 3 lenses have the manual focus ring at the front of the lens, and the focus throw are all around 90 degrees. The focus ring on the TTArtisan lens feels slightly tighter than the other 2 lenses, but the focus ring on all these 3 lenses feel very nice and very smooth. The aperture ring on the TTArtisan lens has clicks, while the other 2 lenses has declicked aperture ring. My regular viewer will know which one is my favorite, so I'm not going to repeat myself again in this review. In terms of aesthetic design, I really like the retro style of this Pergear fisheye lens. It looks a little bit different from most other lenses in the market, and it looks very nice when you fit it on a retro style camera, for example the Fuji camera or the new Nikon ZFC. The TTArtisan lens also looks quite nice, and probably it would look the best on a modern style camera. Compared with the two other lenses, the 7Artisan lens looks a bit boring and it using generic fonts for all the letters and numbers on the lens. Even the 7Artisan brand name that was printed on the lens hood, it's just using the generic fonts again. It doesn't match the official logo. So I think this is something that 7Artisan definitely can improve a bit in the future. However, I do really like the metal lens mount on the 7Artisan lens because this dark chrome finish looks very cool. While all these three lenses are 7.5mm fisheye lenses, the field of view are slightly different. Let's have a look at these sample photos that I shot for the sharpness comparison. We are not looking at the image sharpness yet, but with these three photos side by side, you can see the 7Artisan's lens has the widest field of view, which is followed by Pergear and then followed by TTArtisan lens. Okay, now let's have a look at the image sharpness. Both the 7Artisans and Pergear are very sharp at the center at the maximum aperture. With the TTArtisan lens, at its maximum aperture f2, the center is sharp but not quite as sharp as the other two fisheye lenses at their maximum aperture, which is f2.8. If I stop down the TTArtisan lens to f2.8, the center is now sharper, but I still think the 7Artisan and Pergear are both marginally sharper at f2.8. One thing about the center sharpness of these fisheye lenses is stopping down all these lenses from f2.8 onwards makes very little difference in terms of center sharpness. But for both the 7Artisan and Pergear lenses, if you stop down past f11, you are now starting to lose quite a bit of center sharpness, probably because of diffraction. The image shot at f16 and f22 is noticeably softer than the image that shot at f11 or f8. In terms of corner sharpness, all these three lenses are quite soft at the maximum aperture. At f2.8, I think the TTArtisan and the 7Artisan are both slightly sharper than the Pergear. When stopped down to f5.6, then the sharpest lens is the 7Artisans followed by TTArtisan and then Pergear. With the Pergear fisheye, you have to stop down to f11 to get the best corner sharpness. Vignetting wise, the TTArtisan has the least amount of vignetting. Even at f2, the vignetting is already at pretty low level, and by the time I stop down to f4, then vignetting is virtually not noticeable with the TTArtisan lens. 7Artisan fisheye has slightly more vignetting compared to the TTArtisan, but it's still pretty good overall. The Pergear fisheye has some pretty noticeable vignetting when shooting at the maximum aperture f2.8. Even when I stop down the lens, there is still quite a bit of dark corner that is noticeable in these test photos. I have to stop down to f8, then vignetting become not that noticeable. Before we start look at the Sunstars test photos, I want to mention that all these three fisheye lenses have different minimum aperture. The minimum aperture for the TTArtisan lens is only f11, the 7Artisan is f16, and the Pergear is f22. So the smallest minimum aperture for the Pergear lens give it two advantage. The first one is you can take photo at the slower shutter speed, especially when you are shooting on a bright sunny day. So the Pergear lens can shoot at 2 times slower shutter speed compared to the 7Artisan lens and 4 times slower compared to the TTArtisan lens. Of course, the TTArtisan lens, it has the option of installing rear filter, so you could shoot at very slow shutter speed if you're using the ND1000 rear filter on the TTArtisan lens. And the other thing is the Sunstars. With a smaller aperture, it can usually give you sharper and also longer Sunstars. So now let's have a look at this set of Sunstars test photos. All these photos were shot at each of these lens minimum aperture setting. The Sunstars from the TTArtisan lens looks okay. because quite often you can see the tail of the Sunstar has the double tail shape, so to me it's not the cleanest looking Sunstars. In comparison, the Sunstars from the 7Artisans lens looks sharper and cleaner than the Sunstars from the TTArtisan lens, so I actually quite like the Sunstars from the 7Artisans lens. But I would say out of these three lenses, I love the Sunstars from the Pergear fisheye lens the most. The 10-point Sunstars just look the cleanest and just look most distinctive and most beautiful to me. Chromatic aberration is very well controlled by all these three fisheye lenses. There's only very small amount of color fringing with all these test photos that are shot at the maximum aperture. It is a bit of surprise as I really was expecting to see quite a bit of color fringing with at least one or two of these fisheye lenses. When shooting into the sun on a bright sunny day, all these three lenses would have quite a bit of lens flare, and the lens flare look quite a bit different as well. But between these three lenses, I feel overall the TTArtisan lens has the least amount of lens flare compared to the two other fisheye lenses. All these three fisheye lenses can focus quite close. The official figure is the TTArtisan lens minimum focus distance is 12.5 cm, the 7Artisan lens is 15 cm, while the Pergear lens is 12 cm. And here are the photos that I shot at the minimum focus distance with each of these lenses. The TTArtisan and the 7Artisans appear to have very similar maximum magnification ratio, while the Pergear lens seems to have a slightly higher maximum magnification ratio. Another thing I want to mention is, with all these three lenses, the distance between the front element and the subject are all quite close when you want to take photo with the maximum magnification ratio. With the TTArtisan lens, the distance between the front element and the subject is approximately 7 cm. With the 7Artisan lens, the distance is approximately 9 cm, and with the Pergear lens, the distance is approximately 6 cm. Here are some photos that I shot in my garden at night with these three lenses and all at f2.8. When I zoom in and check the photos, I find coma is very well controlled by all these three lenses. I can only see very minimal amount of coma in all these three test photos. And with the TTArtisan lens, even when I shoot at the maximum aperture f2, the coma is only marginally more than when it was at f2.8. One major selling point of the TTArtisan fisheye lens is the f2 maximum aperture, which is one stop faster than the two other lenses, which is f2.8. The one stop faster maximum aperture should give you some advantage if you need to shoot under low light. But does the f2 maximum aperture really get more light compared to these two f2.8 lenses? Okay, first, here is a set of photos that I shot with all these three fisheye lenses, all shot with the identical camera settings and all at f2.8. If you look at the color chart at the center of the photo, the brightness is virtually the same for all these three photos, so it suggests the light transmission at f2.8 is the same for all these three lenses. And now this is a photo that I shot at f2 with the TTArtisan lens. The same exposure settings, so everything is the same. The only difference is the aperture is now at f2 compared to the previous photos that were shot at f2.8. Compare this photo with the photo that I shot at f2.8. The photo that I shot at f2 is about 0.8 stop brighter than the photo that I shot at f2.8. So it may not be exactly one stop brighter, but it is very close. Okay, so after testing all these three fisheye lenses, which lens is the best fisheye lens? It's really hard to say. The performance are really quite similar with all these three fisheye lenses. Each lens has its own pros and cons compared to the other lenses. The TTArtisan is definitely the most attractive out of these three lenses because it has the fastest maximum aperture, it has the option to install the rear filter, and also you can use it on a full frame camera and create a circular fisheye photo. However, the other two lenses also has very solid performance, and they're also a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller, a little bit cheaper, and there are a few things that these two fisheye lenses does better than the TTArtisan fisheye lens. So to pick the best fisheye lens, I guess it really depends on what is the most important thing to you. Is it the low light performance, or is it the corner sharpness, or maybe you want a lens that has the widest field of view, or you want the lens that is most compact that you can carry around easily, or maybe you just want the most beautiful Sunstars. So think about what is the most important thing for you, and then use my review to help you to pick the best fisheye lens for you. Let me know which fisheye lens would you pick and what is the reason. I'm really curious to know which of these three fisheye lens is the most popular fisheye lens.